Galair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go.
On Slice 40 I chat to Éamonn and find out all about Seattle Gaels GAA in the USA as we celebrate the famous Thanksgiving Day this Thursday, November 25th. We chat all about the Emerald City, his introduction into the club and ending up as manager, being the largest club in the northwest of the USA, hosting the Nationals, the Seattle-Dublin Aer Lingus flight starting through the club, trying to get NFL star Russel Wilson to training, rivalries of Vancouver, Portland and others, and much more, including being in the home of the great music icons Nirvana. And there's a super link between the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast and Éamonn's introduction to Paidí and his intro to the Pintman, Paddy Losty. But first, as always, let's head over to Seattle and find out all about the Emerald City. Bon Sultas. Hello and welcome to the Emerald City, aka Seattle, in the state of Washington on the US Northwest, and a huge happy Thanksgiving to all the listeners in the US and beyond. It is the sound of Nirvana that greets us at the airport as we arrive. The city region has about 4 million people, and from the few days I spent there in 2013, I can say it's a really cool city. The idea of Emerald comes from the environmental side of the Green City. It is the most northern major city in the US, and something you might find surprising is that the city sits entirely on an isthmus. For those looking to save having to Google, an isthmus is a strip of land between two bodies of water. Seattle lies between Lake Washington and Puget Sound. The natives in the area had a very long history before the settlers arrived in 1792. The name of the first settler was one man named George Vancouver. Probably no need to explain where else he visited. On November 13, 1851, a group arrived known as the Denny Party, led by Arthur Armstrong Denny. They would go on to become the founders of the city of Seattle with a population of about 200 at the time. The area became named Seattle after the local native tribe chief, Sayal, which became changed slightly to make the name Seattle. Timber and logging would be the major source of industry for Seattle for long periods. One road even became nicknamed Skid Road due to the amounts of timber flying along to the local sawmill. It is also perhaps the origin of the term Skid Row, which is often used today to describe areas where people are below the poverty line. In 1889, the city was engulfed by fire and lost large amounts of its economic success and growth, and rebuilding in all sense of the word was needed. To make matters worse, a massive economic depression began 4 years later, in 1893. But all was not lost, and ironically the thing that helped the growth of the area was actually located in neighbouring Canada.
Then my arteries are clogged with yellow gold!
Yes, the finding of gold in the Yukon in northwest Canada led to thousands upon thousands of people rushing to the famous Klondike area to try and find some of the yellow substance to make them rich. As a result, boomtowns sprung up along the route, and the Seattle region also benefited with some new economic growth from the gold rush. One of the businesses that emerged during the time was started by 19-year-old James Casey. Having borrowed $100 from his friend Casey, the son of Irish immigrants Annie and Jimmy, and his friend Claude, founded American Messenger Company, delivering post and packages on foot and on a bike. By 1919 he rebranded as United Parcel Service, better known today as UPS, a company valued today at over $60 billion. As a side note, the first people to return from the Klondike landed in Seattle on boats with a haul of gold that would be valued today at just over $1.1 billion US. You have to feel a bit sorry for the thousands who arrived too late, but such is life. Shipbuilding exploded in the early 20th century in the city due to the impact of war, but it also led to the first ever strike in the US as a result. Post-war time saw the impact the aviation company Boeing had in the area. The 1962 World's Fair saw the building of a now famous Space Needle, which you can see my photo of on the YouTube video if you're watching this. But of course it would be too easy to be all happy from then on. Oil crisis, economic downturn, Boeing's near collapse, and Seattle suffers in general. Thousands leave the area. One billboard even reads, "Will the last person leaving Seattle turn out the lights?" But then things finally took a major upturn. Microsoft moved their HQ to Washington State in 1979, and so followed others, including a growing company called Amazon, who were among those to base there. And then as the housing market grew to be the most expensive in the US, this film hit the cinema screens and put Seattle firmly on the map.
Marcia, or should I call you Dr. Fieldstone?
Dr. Marcia.
Dr.
Dr. Marcia.
I don't mean to be rude.
Oh, and I don't want to invade your privacy.
Oh, sure you do.
Yes, that story of Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan known as Sleepless in Seattle. But perhaps the crowning moment for Seattle began 3 months later, when the world was introduced to this iconic theme tune.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Kelsey Grammer, David Hyde Pierce, John Mahoney, Jane Leaves and Perry Gilpin formed the main part of the amazing Frasier, which ran from 1993 to 2004 and became a household name globally. Amazingly, it was, for those who don't know, a spin-off of the great show Cheers. Seattle today is also famous for the building at 2000 Western Avenue. The owners, 3 former students of the University of San Francisco. Their business, a bean-selling shop called Starbucks. As time passed, the company expanded beyond belief. Today it is the largest in the world with just under 33,000 locations worldwide, all of whom will happily spell your name wrong without any hesitation. Some famous names born in the Seattle area are the likes of Bill Gates, TV names such as John Aylward of Mad Men and ER, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan of Grey's Anatomy, comedian Ryan Stiles of Whose Line Is It Anyway, music legends Jimi Hendrix, Chris Cornell, Alice in Chains, Quincy Jones, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, Pearl Jam, Presidents of the USA, and Robert Stroud, better known as the famous Birdman of Alcatraz. But perhaps above all those, in terms of music originality and status, is that of a band from Aberdeen, 100 miles from Seattle, known as Nirvana. A young man named Kurt Cobain asked high school classmate Chris Novoselic to form a band. After several years of slow replying from Chris, they eventually did, calling themselves the Sellouts and playing only Creedence Clearwater Revival covers. They went through various names, including the aptly named Skid Row, before agreeing on Nirvana. Albums followed in between the searches and changes of record companies. Bleach was the first, before the album Nevermind changed the music world forever. With the aim of selling a total of 250,000 albums, the impact Smells Like Teen Spirit had meant the record sold 400,000 copies per week. The band created the grunge movement in Seattle and around the world. Over time, Dave Grohl would join them on drums and Pat Smear on guitar. However, on the 8th of April 1994, electrician Gary Smith went to Cobain's house to install security lights, only to see Cobain lying on his greenhouse floor with a shotgun in his hand and blood on the ground. Grohl and Smear would go on to form the Foo Fighters, another epic band inspired by their time with Cobain and Nirvana. Novoselic has been part of the band on and off in recent years. But one thing is for sure, the legacy of Nirvana as being a band that changed the world for music fans, musicians and people who maybe felt isolated in the world will live on forever. On the sporting side, Seattle is known for some very popular teams in US pro sports. The Mariners entertain the crowds on the baseball field and Seattle Kraken on the ice hockey stages. Neither have a title to their name yet. Seattle Storm has 4 women's NBA titles, while OL Reign, formerly Seattle Reign FC, has 4 women's Major League Soccer titles in their short history. Seattle Sounders fly the flag of the Emerald City on the soccer pitch for the men in the MLS and boast 7 titles to date. Names such as Clint Dempsey, Freddie Montero, DeAndre Yedlin and Obafemi Martins have all donned the shirt. But for many, the team with the most following is that of the NFL side Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks were founded in 1974 and joined the NFL in 76 as an expansion team. Their fan base is known as the 12s, but make enough noise for all NFL teams combined. So much so that they entered the Guinness Book of Records in 2013 for the loudest fans ever when they played the San Francisco 49ers. As if that wasn't enough, they outdid themselves a few months later and broke their own record against the Saints. In Super Bowl 48 in 2013, the Seahawks won their one and only NFL championship, beating the Denver Broncos by 35 points, the third highest winning margin in NFL history. The club boasts some great names in its time. Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch, Steve Largent and current quarterback Russel Wilson are just a few. Other sporting figures from the city include PGA star Fred Couples, goalkeeper Marcus Hanneman and Baseball Hall of Famer Ron Santo. Seattle Gaels GAA was founded in 1979 and is today the largest GAA club in the northwest of the USA. The GAA had reached that part of the world some half-century earlier, but it wasn't until the 50s that games between teams in Vancouver and Canada, as far down as San Francisco, eventually began. In 1959 the North American County Board was formed, but with little success. In the coming decades the formation of the team was established and the growth of teams in Vancouver and Tacoma helped create a championship. It was in 1999 when the Gaels first tasted major success with the men's team, who won the Junior B football final against Atlanta Gaels in Chicago. This was followed by a Junior C victory in hurling over Denver in 2006. And so let's find out more about the amazing Seattle Gaels and the life of the GAA player in the northwest of the USA as we meet Éamonn and Seattle GAA. Éamonn, how are things?
Jason, how are you, sir?
Sure, not too bad. How's all out there?
All good in Seattle.
Nice, yeah. And whereabouts are you from originally?
Yeah, so originally I was actually born in Dublin, but I grew up in Queens in New York.
Oh yeah.
So somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic.
And what brought you to Seattle?
Work. Yeah. So I actually kind of did the world tour and just wound up here, Funny enough, actually, after college in New York, I was working in Dublin for some time in a startup company. And then someone that I knew from that company started another startup. Well, after that one failed, started a startup in Seattle. So I followed him out here. Been out here ever since. So it's about 8 or 9 years. So
nice. And whereabouts in Dublin were you born? Whereabouts did you ever live there when you were there?
The Rotunda Hospital, classy establishment. Yeah, no, both of my parents are proud Southside Dubs. So Rathfarnham, I have a granny in Rathfarnham that it spent a lot of summers out there, and another granny who passed away last year at the age of 100. She was in Booterstown.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice parts of the world to live in, yeah. And
yeah, very nice areas. Spent a lot of time out there. So
good memories, yeah. Sounds good. And what brought you into the GAA out in Seattle, of all places?
Yeah, it's a funny one because for me, like my house growing up in New York, like my dad's big into football. And so my first memory of like really getting into GAA was actually like being brought to the pub probably in my teenage years, like on a Sunday. And I think it actually lost. It was maybe a semi-final or something like that. And I never actually played in New York, right? And there actually are youth teams. There are youth teams out there now. I don't know when I was growing up if they were quite as big, but anyway, just never really got into it out there. Skill level's quite high as well. And so I never really thought of playing football until I moved to Seattle. And actually I was like late 20s. So I was actually sitting in the office one day and this fellow named Chip, we call him the Wizard. He actually came into the office. He's from Indianapolis and he was wearing a hurling jersey. I'm like, what do you know about GAA? And it turns out that we had a club here in Seattle, the Seattle Gaels. And I was probably in my second year of having moved to Seattle. So honestly, didn't have many big, friend group or anything like that. And as you know yourself, like sport is competition and community and all that good stuff. So it was like probably 27, 28 and just came out, started kicking a ball around, and whatever it is, 7-8 years later, I'm managing the men's football team. Playing a bit of hurling when I can, but mostly all about the round ball, the big ball. So
wow. And what's managing the team like?
Herding cats,
Easy peasy.
Bro, yeah, in the USGA, it's especially, we don't have like a huge Irish contingent here, right? I mean, there's plenty of folks that have moved out here, but like we have a kind of an interesting mix of Americans, some Irish, some folks like me, like greenbacks, like born over there but raised here, and but no, we get a good crew out, over 10, sometimes 15 at trainings during the week. We do scrimmages on the weekends, and yeah, I mean, for the most part on my end, it's like manage, play, coach, try and do a little bit of everything. And then some years we actually have like, someone that's coached before, and they'll actually, run the team. But for the most part, just kind of keeping the guys coming out, interested, social events, that type of thing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Is the club going long then in general?
So I want to say it was 2 years ago. You kind of erased the COVID year, right? But it was like we had a big 40th anniversary for the Seattle Gaels.
Wow.
So they've been around for quite some time, actually. A lot of history there. And like many clubs, right? Peaks and valleys. So some years bigger than others. We actually in 2016 we hosted the USGAA Nationals, where we have like 100+ teams come out. That was a huge event. Like we had thousands of people just kind of like, even spectating, and, so that was a huge year for the club. But yeah, we have camogie, women's, ladies football, hurling, and men's. So yeah, quite a it's a great club. Yeah.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. What's the uptake like from the Americans in general? Do they just sort of get into it straight away, especially in the camogie and hurling side? It must be a bit.
It's funny, yeah. It's for a lot of people, that's a tough sport to pick up, right? Like the skill level of hitting the ball, like, so some people like me can hit it like a mile standing still, and then you forget you have to run.
Yeah.
And so we actually do get, you'll get folks that have played lacrosse.
Oh yeah.
And it's just there's an easy transition there. So it's funny, in some states and cities, like, I don't know if you've spoken to many folks in like the USGA, but some cities are huge hurling clubs without any Irish. Like, I'm thinking of a place like Indianapolis, like the guy that brought me into the club, like they have a huge team, and it's mostly,
they were on,
it's all Americans. Oh, okay, yeah.
I had Kyle and David, I think, on from Indy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think each club is kind of different. Like right now, this year or the past couple of years, I'd say like we've had more football than hurling, but it's just kind of ebbs and flows.
That's pretty cool. Is there a high point from the 2016 one when you brought over all the teams? How did you fare out against them?
Yeah, so for hurling, I mean, it was the peak. So they took home their division. I think they were playing junior C or junior B hurling, and they actually won that division. So it was a lot of memories made that weekend for the hurlers. Guys were coming out of the woodwork to pick up the hurley again that weekend and play. So it's good fun. We had the mayor out and like beer tent. I mean, just great crack.
Nice, yeah. What's life like in Seattle generally these days? It's 8 years since I was there, so.
Yeah, it's funny, like if you've been here in the past, like, just in general, it's a boom town. I mean, I get hit with a lot of articles that say one of the fastest growing cities, and a lot of it's driven by tech. So like Amazon, Microsoft, but a lot of other companies are coming because of that, and it hasn't slowed down. Like it's been, even with COVID, like the housing market's insane, and a lot of building, a lot of cranes, kind of just it's a great city overall. Like you've got a little bit of everything. Growing up in the Northeast and in New York, it's kind of like too much going on. Seattle is just a different size, a different speed. I can go 5 minutes down the road, take my dog into the woods, or I'm 20 minutes, I'm downtown. So it's
a nice mix. Yeah. Do you find getting members in is tricky enough? Are you trying to compete against many other sports? Like obviously you've got the Seahawks and Sounders and all that out there.
Yeah. We tried to get Russel Wilson in for a practice, but he's not answering our emails.
If you get Russell
No,
Wilson in, my mate will be over in about 5 minutes. He is the biggest Seahawks fan in the world. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, one of the hardest things for us actually is just field space. So because of its size and all the, one of the issues even with like the housing market is just a lot of water, right? A lot of lakes and so we have like we actually do have good we have field space. It's not a great pitch, like
Yeah.
PVC pipes and that type of thing, but
Oh, yeah.
no, we're always recruiting, right? So a lot of times it's just picking up people at the pub and convincing them to come out and play, or people walking by the fields that might be playing rugby or soccer or something like that, just kind of come out. So yeah, but I find the USGA, we have to be like active recruiting to really get people in, right? So you want to go after lacrosse players and tell them about hurling, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's
we're never doing enough of it. So
yeah, every club is kind of in the same boat, aren't they? I suppose, just trying to get people in. It's funny you mentioned that it's like got a lot of water. There's a lot of GA pitches in Ireland, I'm sure that people would say, that are quite similar to a lake as well on the best of times.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen. Yeah.
yeah, you're not too far away from real GA, I suppose. You mentioned the pub as well. I suppose I ask pretty much every club what's a good night with the Seattle Gaels out in the pub. Who is your local? Have you got an Irish pub?
Yeah, it's funny, like our local or our sponsor pub is actually kind of changing ownership. I think they've just, like a lot of places, have had hardships with the COVID. But Kel's is another good Irish pub that we will go to. And yeah, we kind of do some crazy stuff like many clubs do. Like we created I don't even know what month it was in. We did a pre-Paddy's Day pub crawl.
Nice.
So we said for recruiting, like, we can do a pub crawl on Paddy's Day, but what if we do it 2 weeks before Paddy's Day? And just confuse everyone. So we got the whole club out. We probably had like 40 people out and just kind of full gear, all green, beads. We even had a trophy. I don't know who won it or why, but like, I don't know.
what was the criteria to win? Like, who can down the most points and
stuff like that? Yeah, like we had a scorecard. Like, could you get someone else to wear some crazy shirt or So it was kind of like a recruitment event, and like join because typically on Paddy's Day it's just too much madness going on. Like we actually like march in the parade, and we try and recruit people. We'll give out like flyers, and we'll be like kicking the ball during the parade and showing people gifts. So we do tend to do mad stuff. We're actually having this weekend's bank holiday, and we have a Memorial Day weekend, so we're doing the inaugural first ever third annual barbecue. So we're just trying to convince people that we've been doing this for a long time, and we just said, look, if you call it the third annual, people are going to come out. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's legit. So we're a fun
the greatest
club,
name ever for a barbecue. Yeah. I've never heard a better one than that. Did you say the pub is called Kel's, is it?
Kel's, yeah, Kel's pub. And they've got actually a few kind of Kel's pubs up and down the west coast, like Portland. I think there's even one in California. So
okay. It's unfortunate they picked the name of a town from County Meath, sadly, which is a bit of a problem. We mightn't mention them too much, to be honest. Yeah.
There's no Kel's in Westmeath?
No, there isn't. It's in Meath, and it's not far enough away for many Westmeath people's liking, I suppose. If it was a bit further away, maybe out in the ocean, it might be a better place for Kells. But look, anyway, yeah, no, it's good. Good they sponsor you, at least, I suppose, the main thing. Have you got like up in the northwest, I suppose? Have you got a rival on the GA scene up there?
Yeah, for us, I think the more historic rival's been like Portland. So Portland, Seattle, just in general, have good rivalry. Actually try and compare which city's weirder. Portland claims to be weirder than Seattle, like it's a badge of honor.
Okay.
And no, we've had, good few scraps, good, tough matches. They tend to have, kind of equal, right? So we have equal competition with them because we're kind of equidistant from Seattle to Vancouver, but you actually have a lot more Irish up there, play at a much more like senior level. And then going down to Portland, that's about 2 to 3 hours as well. In the middle, there's another city, Tacoma, that we play quite often. And they're primarily
Tacoma Rangers.
Tacoma Rangers, yeah. So another great club. More hurling, like for us from a football perspective, like they've got they play at a different grade, but yeah, we tend to get matches even this year. Like we're just going to do scrimmages and just say, look, first of every month we're going to meet in the middle and just try and meet in Tacoma, see if we can get Portland to come up, and just however we can get competition going.
You find it weird as a man born in Dublin to use the word scrimmages a lot.
There's a lot of words I find weird to use.
I had to ask a few because the first time I've had a good few American clubs on, and the first time they said it, I went, you're going to have to explain that for anyone in Ireland who doesn't follow the NFL, because they're not really going to have a clue what you're on about. So yeah, it's got to say, I'm born in Dublin, but you use the word scrimmage. Yeah, it's a good one, all right. If the rivalry of Vancouver then is a kind of a big thing at all, do you get to play them much? Because I know I came into Seattle from Vancouver, and big Irish pub up there.
Yeah, so we have like a big tournament. Like we'll host a big tournament every year. They'll come down, they'll bring some teams, but it's just at a different level. So we actually I always enjoy playing up, right? Because you're going to learn when you get your ass handed to you, like, oh geez, like see the way here's how they're moving the ball. And a few years ago, we took our team and went up to their tournaments as well, and just they actually let us mix into their teams, which was great, especially for like newer players or American born.
Yeah,
like relationship with the Vancouver club as well. Like however we can, we get matches in with them. So.
Ooh, yes. I have to ask as well. After I don't know why it's after reminding me coming into my head. You were passed to me, I suppose, is one way of saying it, by Connor. From Tuju Aero. Yeah, what's the link between you guys, since you're like opposite sides of the world in many ways? So.
Oh, he's just one of those transients that has come through Seattle in his time. No, Connor spent some I want to say maybe 2 years here in Seattle. We great kid, great corner forward for the Seattle Gaels for a few years, and then he moved on, and just we've kept in touch. He actually, I'm always on the lookout for a tournament or something to play more football any chance I get. And I think it was like the Bangkok Sevens he told me about one year. And I was like, you need to give me more advance notice, because I will come out and I will play in the Bangkok Sevens. And so that's my life's goal at this point, is to play, bring a team or bring 3 people or whatever it is and compete in that one. So.
Okay. Was he any good as a corner forward?
Yeah, he was pretty handy. I don't know what he's like now. He may have slowed down. I've gotten faster. Tell him that.
Okay. I'll pass it on to him. I'll definitely tell him you got faster. So yeah. You were telling me as well, I have to ask about that. The Dublin-Seattle flight was started by a footballer. Is that what you were saying to me?
I love this story. Yeah, because from Seattle to get back to Ireland, right? Like you would have to transfer flights, and there was no direct flight. And the great Matthew O'Toole from Galway, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He used to play football, and he was working at Microsoft, and I don't know, through his connections, started talking to someone in like City Hall and like Boeing. So Boeing has big presence here in Seattle. A lot of folks work for Boeing. And between the connections at Microsoft, the political angle, Boeing, like they actually just convinced Aer Lingus that they should add it as a route.
Wow.
And there's an article of like Matthew O'Toole just standing in front of the inaugural flight, like, yeah, that's, we made this happen. And sure enough, like, first of all, the flight itself is great, because you can get on it at like 7 p.m. and you land in Dublin in 11 a.m. So it's like a red eye. You can actually catch some sleep, wake up, have your Irish breakfast, and get on with your day. And that alone, that connecting flight, just having that was amazing. But like the second best thing is that Aer Lingus actually kicked in some money to sponsor a kit for us as well.
No way.
Yeah. So we've got a nice jersey set with the Aer Lingus logo on it. And the funny thing was that I think it was the second year after we scored that sponsorship deal. They're like, listen, guys, we have some bad news. We actually changed our logo. And I swear to God, they changed like the font or like the shade of the color from like a slight cyan to like some other shade of blue, and like, we're gonna have to get you a new set of jerseys because we can't have you wearing the
No
old
way.
one. Yeah, so
And they just sent you out new kits.
yeah, or they helped us fund it. Maybe they gave us like a little bit of money for it, but
And are they
you almost don't want to
still
wear
on
it
the kit?
because whenever, yeah. So we still have that kit. I think that's still our. Geez, it's been a long time since we played like an official match, but yeah, it's still the kit. You almost don't want to get it dirty, right?
That's the first. Like everyone else has just been Irish pub or local person, or even in the case of who the hell was it? Might have been the guys in Spain. American money, as they called her by accident. There was a rich American lady lived out there and sponsored them. But that Aer Lingus getting on board is quite a rare one. That has to be unique. I don't think there's any other club in the world that would say Aer Lingus are their sponsors as such.
Yeah, it was a cool one for sure. I definitely I think I was on the flight. I was rocking my jersey, but it didn't get me any free drinks. They stopped giving away free drinks on that flight, unfortunately.
Oh well, you got on, and what, it was like 6 hours into the flight, they said no more free drinks for anybody.
No more.
No more. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. You were telling me as well about, I have to ask, I suppose a lot of people over here would be familiar with it, but you have some sort of Irish draft system going on for competition. Or...
Yeah, this is a new one. It's so, as I mentioned, like I'm always looking for more games, and there's a lot of people like me out there that they want to play as much Gaelic sport as possible, but one of the challenges is actually just like getting a full team together and getting them to travel. We've had great years where we had the numbers to go to like Denver or San Francisco does a fantastic sevens tournament that I have a story about as well. And like, usually we're always gearing our season towards nationals, and that's, we'll bring a full team out. There's always like, huge competition there. But this year, just being a little bit different, our thinking was, how can we kind of do something a bit different? And this concept, we kind of stole it from, there's a hockey tournament that does this, and it's a draft tournament. So basically, you yourself only need to travel and register for the tournament. And then the night prior, there's actually a big social event where the teams get selected and everyone gets a jersey, and you get to keep the kit when you leave the tournament. So it's kind of like a social weekend, but the idea is great because you can actually balance the teams with these different draft rounds. So you'll have a round of, let's say, senior players, and then you'll have like senior citizen players and maybe the over 40s. And each team will kind of have a little bit of each, right? So you'll have like ideally a fair and balanced competition. So we have basically started rolling the ball here for this in Montana, in Butte, Montana, which is part of our division, so Northwest Division. But we haven't been able to hold a tournament in Montana, partially because it's far and there's not a huge population there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of people want to go there. It's just, can you get 13 to 15 guys to field a team? That's a tough one. So the idea is, we'll get the 4 or 5 guys that definitely want to go to Butte, Montana, because it's going to be a riot.
Yeah.
Get them to come out, and we're going to have a big, basically like a draft session the night before. Try and get out of the pub as early as possible, and then get into the tournament the next day.
That's pretty cool.
And, so we're hoping that catches on, because I think it solves a problem. USGA is like, to get a match, sometimes you have to drive 2 hours, 3 hours to play a different team, right? And for a lot of players, like there's clubs in Montana, there's multiple hurling clubs. They'll play each other, but for them to play anyone else, they need to get on a flight or drive 10 hours, which they do. But so we're trying to take the action to them. And I envision this kind of like, you can almost create a tour of the states, and just kind of each year different city, something like that. So hopefully it catches on.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I'd love to go to something like that. It sounds so cool. Like, it's a full draft. You're not going to get guys on telephones, ringing up lads. Our side of the pub.
We're going to have the live view of someone that's sitting in the house, like
just their family back in Ireland, just and their granny in the corner wondering what the hell is going on as she waves a little Irish flag. Yeah, that sounds
We
amazing.
might maybe we'll get Connor Nealon to get selected. Have him set up a camera in China wherever he is.
Oh yeah. You should definitely broadcast that around the world. Yeah, that'd be. You should get like some kind of, like I don't know who the NFL hosts are out there, or get some of them involved, or get like Marty Morrissey. Marty Morrissey is the man you need to do this. Marty Morrissey should be your host for this draft night. You could definitely make that happen, I'd say. You said you had a story about the San Francisco Sevens as well. Dare I ask what it was? Or
Absolutely. This one is actually a great one, because this is when I saw the title of the podcast, I started burst laughing, because our San Diego tournament was kind of my introduction to Paddy O'Shea and like that speech, right?
Okay, yeah.
And so kind of background, like there's a woman, Tracy Rivera, that organizes the San Diego Sevens tournament that's been happening for I don't know how many years at this point, but fantastic, because sevens, so it's kind of less commitment. You can get, it's easier to get a team together with less numbers, in my opinion, in the USGA. And who doesn't want to go to San Diego, right? It's a fantastic city on the coast. And so I'd been talking about it for a year or two to my team, like, let's get a team. And this year in particular, I think it was it was actually 3 years ago, because Google started throwing some photos like, hey, this was 3 years ago. And we had a guy come out. His name is Jason Crosgree. Like, the word legend would sell him short. Like,
okay.
Castle Welland kid from up north, plays
nice.
Like nonstop football head and hurling as well. And he came out and he took over coaching that year. And usually, we'll start training in serious maybe around like April. He had us out in February, and he had everyone buying in and like just getting us in like with just like straight into it, like training in the pressure cooker with him. And so we were getting to a stage in around April where we were more match fit than we'd ever been in the past. And we said, look, fuck it, this is the year we're going to San Diego. And so we got about 10, 11 guys together, got a team for it, travel down, and it happens on Memorial Day weekend. So this is, 3-4 years ago, we went down, and I remember, first match, however went, we kind of squeaked out a victory and all feeling good.
Yeah.
And we actually lost our star. Like, I want to say more than half our team that year was American kids. We had one guy, David Wismer, just like star soccer player, corner forward. Like, he'd bury, 3-4 goals a game. And he crushed his collarbone in a match in this tournament. And like, we were just downbeat, and we're like, fuck, like, that's it for us.
Yeah.
So it was a tough one. And here comes Jason Crosgree in the van that we had rented, 10 of us in this van, maybe a can or two before a match sometimes. And he goes, boys, lads, listen, have you heard of Paddy O'Shea? And we're like, no. Most of them never, like, no. He puts that speech on for us and just fucking fires everyone up. And that whole weekend we're talking about getting fucked over the line. And went on to win the tournament. Like, took our division down. Yeah. And I mean, that whole weekend we were on about two things: Paddy O'Shea and Paddy Losty, like the Pintman. And it was just such a session in San Diego. Like,
that is amazing. Yeah. Have you anyone on the team who can drink 45 pints in about 2 hours?
And a packet of Crips.
And a packet of Crips. And a package of peanuts.
Yeah, I'd say so. I give that award to maybe Oisin Keeley. So we'll see if we can put him to it this weekend. But no, we have a good few pint men. I'd say between a team of us, maybe. But we do our best.
Unbelievable. I can't believe that's such a funny one. Like, for a lad just to stick on YouTube and show you the speech like in the middle of a tournament. That's brilliant.
I'd say we watched it. We watched it about 5 times in the van on the way to the matches in one morning, and then by the end of it, like, we had American guys, and like we're all just quoting it the whole weekend, just like the whole thing. So.
Love it. Yeah, it was in St. Loman's Gaelic football ground, which is just down the road from me here. So Yeah, it's amazing. It's I still think it's the greatest speech ever in
Yeah,
sport.
and I
Never
didn't know
mind
some of the
anything else.
history. I mean, I learned something from your podcast, just the history of it, right? Like I didn't realize that it was, for Westmead to just kind of,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, such a legend. So
yeah. The first ever guest I suppose I had on was the captain of that team, the Paidí. He was he was there for all that and lived through it, and
amazing. Yeah.
it was pretty cool. Like, cause stay one of my heroes, like as well. But that speech is just iconic. I don't think whoever was in your team, I don't think he could have picked a better thing to play to cheer up a team. Anyway, that's amazing. I love the story. I'm definitely going to remember that one anyway. I have to ask as well, do you get to, being a dub, do you get to keep an eye on the Sunday game and stuff back home? Or are you just waiting for the All Ireland final to come around every year, as every dub is?
Yeah, I mean, I'll subscribe, so I kind of don't tell Gagos, but like split the package with my dad and kind of
Oh yeah.
like, it's a lot of times it's early, but like I'll watch some of the league games.
Mm.
For me, a big part of it is actually just figuring out, like I'll even watch some of the pregame warm-ups and things and see how they're warming up and take
Nice.
ideas for trainings, or like it's just funny because it's watching it, man, it is just beautiful game, right? So but yeah, to me, I won't watch it like every weekend, but I do,
Mm.
I'll subscribe and catch some of the bigger games. So
Nice, yeah. Well, as a dub, you just probably need to wait around the All Ireland final time, I'm sure, anyway. So, is there a standard victory in your career that you can remember?
what do you mean, like for the Gales or for the
Yeah,
Dubs? Like,
for the Gaels, yeah, yourself as a player or a coach, or
no, I mean, for me, like the San Diego one is kind of recent memory,
mm,
just like taking that one back. But no, we in the Northwest, we've had some good fortune win a couple of like our local tournaments. But for us, where we always set the bars to go to nationals, compete and win, but it's tough. Yeah, so we haven't taken that one yet, but next year.
someday soon? Yeah, I can smell it. It's definitely coming for you. Is there a? I know you mentioned a guy there, Ushin, as the Pintman. Is there a traditional, stereotypical Irish lunatic that every club has on the pitch or off the pitch?
Oh yeah, I mean we have. There's a couple of guys that are very handy for getting like red cards like 3 minutes into a match, like Dermot Connolly style, just
Yeah.
immediate. Yeah, but we won't name names.
That's okay. You don't have to. It's fine. Yeah. So you got a few. That's good. Yeah, you're keeping the tradition alive. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
Is
no.
is there a club song of choice when you go out on a night out, a karaoke style song after 45 pints or more?
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So there's a few. Oh, fuck me. I'm gonna actually forget the name of it, but let me come back to that one.
That's
I
okay.
mean, yeah, we actually a few years ago did have like a karaoke night.
Oh, nice.
So that was another one. Yeah. I mean, we're always looking for something funny to do, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one. Yes. Who would you say is the toughest team you've ever come up against?
Uh, I think for like, I mean, playing against the teams from Vancouver is always, that's kind of like the no-brainer. They just play at a different level. I mean, you can almost see them taking their foot off the gas after 10 minutes because they're just like they can put it over the bar from anywhere compared to
Yeah.
us. But no, good teams that we played against, some of the teams down in Texas, quite good.
I've had some
Denver's
of them
actually
on.
got, yeah.
Yeah.
So Denver's got a strong team as well. They've got a lot of people out there that play. So
Denver's my adopted NFL club. I know shit all
your
about them.
Broncos got, yeah.
Yeah, I know shit all about them. It's just my mate is a huge Seahawks fan and my cousin is a huge Packers fan. And I was the first stadium I ever went to was in Denver, and I just said, yeah, these guys will do. And I bought a jersey with, I think, Eli Manning or whoever on the back, and that's literally all I know about them. Mile High Stadium or Mile High, whatever it is. That's the home. After that, don't
Yeah.
ask me any questions. I don't have a clue. So
No, it's funny how like I love American football as well, and like I've got a fantasy football league that I run, and I have one guy that's moved out here maybe 3 years ago, Connor Kelly. And like, And I told him, like, look, you're watching Seahawks games every once in a while. You're starting to get into it. Like, why don't you play fantasy football? He's like, nah. It's like I don't know enough about the sport really, or the players or the teams or anything like that. I'm like, look, just this will actually get you into it. Like, you'll figure it out. And now he's stolen all my good podcasts with all the good tips on it. He knows all the YouTube channels that tell you, and like he's gone mad for the fantasy football. But I told him, you have to pick a team now. Like, you've come this far. Like, you have to commit before this NFL season kicks off. Like, I don't care who it is, but you can't be on the sidelines.
Yeah.
He'll come over to my house to watch me watch in misery as the Giants lose another heart, crushing loss. And I'm like, you need skin in the game, bud.
You're a Giants man through and through then?
Through and through, yeah. Through it all.
But I was wondering where you're going to be. Oh wow! And there's the hat to prove it.
Well, in COVID days, you have to keep a hat nearby if you have a bad hair day.
Yeah, it's like Will Ferrell and Anchorman. It's like, oh no, I'm so unprepared. I wasn't ready for this. I just pulls that hat out of nowhere. Love it. Yeah, love it.
See my other accessory here. That's going up. I've got
oh wow,
nice little jammed finger from going up for a high ball in Wednesday's training.
Okay. Do you want to complain about the person who did it to you? No.
I don't know what it is. That on Wednesday, I'd say I probably dropped about 3 easy chest passes, and then the next high ball in just jammed it. I'm like, all right, I'm taking a break because I'm off today.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you just have that off day. So.
Yeah. That's you'll be back soon enough. By the time this airs, I know you'll be back fighting fit, I'm sure, again. So is there, if you could bring the Seattle Gaels to Ireland, which county would you most like a shot at that you think either you might give them a good rattle or a team that you just really want to go against?
You have to play to the host and just we're coming to Westmead, like we're gonna come and take you. That's it. Wear your best boots. Have your copas on because we're coming for you, Jason. We've been training for this.
I'll alert them. I'll let them know you're coming. It's funny you say that because I asked this question, I think, to the guys from Argentina when they were on. And then Stevie down in Buenos Aires, Stevie Cartilage and Santiago O'Reilly, some of the great hurling names of Argentina. A couple of days ago, Stevie sent me photos. And he said, you will recognize this. And I looked at it and I went, there's Argentina Hurling Club playing down there, basically, against Westmeath in 2013. I was like, this is bizarre. And sure enough, I looked up the story and there's Stevie playing the bagpipes on the sideline, like as the game was going on, been refereed by like one of my neighbors down here. Like, so
that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, come to Mullingar because it won't be the strangest team to ever turn up in Mullingar, to be honest. So.
I tell you what, the Argentinians get around. We had one guy actually come up, and he just joined. I got a message randomly, like I won't remember his name now because this is years ago, but he's just like, I'm in town. I play hurling down in Buenos Aires, and like, are you training this week? I'm like, sure. So he trained with us actually 2 times, and I don't know. I guess he was just passing through, but
yeah. And that man went on to become Lionel Messi. Yeah, I know how that story goes. Yeah. So you're coming to Mullingar, then that's that you want a shot at Westmeath.
I think for a match, yeah, we're coming to Westmeath, and then for the crack, we're probably going to go to Kerry, maybe take them to Galway. I'd love to get some of the guys that haven't been, get them over there and just have a good time out.
Yeah, nice. I like the sound of that. That sounds like something we could definitely organise. The people who are listening in who maybe haven't had the pleasure and fortunate enough to go to Seattle, what would Seattle be most known for?
Yeah, I mean, it's so cliche, big beer culture out here. I mean, a lot of craft brewing. So if you're into that, but yeah, I think what Seattle really has going for it is kind of this connectivity between the high tech world. A lot of people coming over here for getting into startups or technology, and then just nature. As I mentioned, a lot of Seattle is just kind of mountains and wilderness, rivers, and it's just a beautiful place. So you got a little bit of everything. So yeah, great seafood, fish and chips, and a good IPA. That's kind of
Yeah.
You come out to training with me. That's what we're gonna have afterwards.
Nice. I do remember, yeah, the food out there was pretty lovely. I know I was only there for like 3-4 days, but it's still lovely. Some of the pictures I do, it's some of my favorite American pictures are actually from there with the down by the pier, I think, in the Sounder Stadium in the background. And I was just like, and there was like, I don't know, fun fair, something it looked like in the background and the sunset. It looked amazing. I always remember the photos from there. So it was pretty epic. Are you as a Dublin man, have you introduced the people of Seattle to Father Ted?
Yeah, it's funny. Like it's such a classic, and
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of like there's two shows, like Seinfeld as a New Yorker and Father
yeah.
Ted, the Irish in me. Kind of like those two are just classics. Everything else is trash. Always Sunny, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm glad you've introduced them because some clubs haven't, and I've had words with them about their attitude towards introducing people to Father Ted. It's a key component of Irish history that you have to introduce. So you've done your homework, which is good. The last few questions are all kind of quick fire ones. So for every club that comes on, I've done like sort of Seattle versus Ireland 50-50 choice type things, and they're pure stupid questions as well. So don't worry, you can. There's no pressure. It's not a history test. Don't worry. I'm going to ask you the first one though, since you mentioned that you have a choice between Seinfeld and Father Ted. Which one are you going for?
Seinfeld. I gotta go Seinfeld.
Okay. I respect it.
Yeah, sorry.
You brought Father Ted to Seattle. I can't argue with you on that one. So
it's just more. There's more seasons, right? I mean, Father Ted was painfully short.
Yeah, 23 episodes. Yeah, it was pretty pretty tough. Yeah, it was sad, all right, when it didn't go any longer. Seattle is apparently, according to my dodgy research, is known as the Emerald City. So you have a choice between the Emerald City or the Emerald Isle.
Emerald Isle, all the way.
Nice. Okay. The Space Needle or the Spire in Dublin?
Ugh, the Needle.
I think I choose that one as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking like the Spire, you're walking around needles out there, and I'll take the Space Needle.
Okay, yeah, I stayed, the hotel we stayed in was not far from there, actually. I remember staying around there, so nice spot, all right. The first ever Starbucks apparently was in Seattle, so Starbucks or Irish coffee?
I'll take an Irish coffee.
Okay, sounds good. You're gonna have to, I've forgotten what this place, but I Googled it and I was like, I recognize it, Pike Place, which apparently is famous for shopping, or Moore Street in Dublin.
I'll go Moore Street.
Nice, keeping it traditional. Belltown in Seattle or Temple Bar in Dublin?
Ooh. Yeah, it's like, Temple Bar is cliche. Belltown can be a bit sketchy at times.
Talking Temple Bar.
I say it depends who you're with, and I flip a coin. Like,
okay.
Take both. I'll take Temple Bar.
Yeah. Okay, 45 pints in Belltown and then a flight over 45 pints in Temple Bar. Yeah. Packet of crisps in one, a package of peanuts in the other. That sounds good. The other choice then, Seattle's finest, Nirvana or Thin Lizzy?
Oh, man, Thin Lizzy. I mean, they invented, as far as I know, and I told someone this a few weeks ago, I'm pretty sure they invented the dueling guitar solo, like having two lead guitarists.
Nice, yeah.
And on top of that, like, so my dad growing up in Dublin, he used to hang out with Philo.
No
way. I say
hang
out like loosely. Like my dad's claim to fame is like, he told me like, yeah, Philo knows my name. He once said, "Hey, Alto," and that's it.
Wow.
Like they've been in some of the same parties, but no, Thin Lizzy to me is like, again, kind of like Father Ted, not enough of it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe one true classic album, great songs, but they don't get enough credit. Yeah.
Okay, I like that one. Yeah, that's the best reasoning I've heard, I think, of any of the music questions. Russel Wilson. Oh no, wait, no. You're a Giants fan. Oh, I don't know who the fuck is the Giants quarterback. I haven't got a clue.
So current is Daniel Jones, but Eli Manning, obviously the legend.
Okay.
But current quarterback is kind of controversial. He's very vanilla. His name's Daniel Jones. People are on the fence about him. Like, is he going to be the guy or not?
Okay. So Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, or Kieran Kilkenny?
Oh, Kieran Kilkenny.
Okay. Nice. So you have no affiliation really with the Seahawks at all, then it's all Giants all the way.
Yeah, if people are like, when are you gonna like? To me, sport, like you pick a club, you live and die by that. You
Yeah.
know, you can't kind of. Maybe some people can, but I can't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I just think the Seahawks jersey is like the nicest jersey in the world of like
You're
a big,
entitled to your opinion.
it might be wrong, but you're entitled to it. Yeah. And the last question I have then is the one that you probably expect with the way these are going: Dublin or Seattle or New York? I can ask now, actually, can't I?
Oh, yeah, that's such a tough one. Yeah, damn. It's funny because like having worked and lived and been over there for a long time, like Dublin has such a close place for me, and
Yeah.
I always think like where will I wind up? But at the end of the day, it's the weather. Like I can't see myself dealing with it.
Yeah.
And Seattle has such commonalities like weather-wise, but I always tell people the rain doesn't go sideways ever. And like the weather out here is just perfect. So
Yeah.
and New York's crumbling. I'm taking Seattle. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got to
Yeah.
take Seattle with the
Nice,
direct
yeah.
flight to Dublin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing then I ask, actually, there's two things. There's one thing I forgot to ask because I want to know, but I think you kind of answered it in some ways. Funding for the club, has it been a bit of an issue, or is the Aer Lingus money essentially the
Oh,
big thing?
that's we drank that all away. All the Aer Lingus money's gone.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Fundraising, yeah, we always have to kind of be creative around it. It'd be great, I think, if you share actually some insights kind of offline, like what other clubs are doing. But we've done like auctions, we've done different types of silly stuff. But at the end of the day, yeah, we just, the dues kind of keep us afloat, but field space is expensive out here. Hosting nationals and hosting tournaments, like that was a big one for us actually, even in 2016, like that was a huge kind of fundraiser. But the other thing is actually some of the companies that are in town are actually great at giving back. Like we're a nonprofit, and so through volunteering, you can actually get like fund matches through Boeing and Microsoft. So when we have folks that are doing, let's say, charity events or something like that, they can actually donate that money into the club, and it's pretty eye-opening just how much they'll actually put into the club. So that's been a big one for us. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't imagine Seattle Gaels versus Tacoma Rangers sponsored by Microsoft on the side.
No.
just seems a bit mental. Yeah, it just seems a bit bananas. Yeah. What was the last one I was going to ask you? I've forgotten. It's got out of my head. I'll think of it now in a second. There was one other one. Oh yeah, the jersey, the kit. Is it most places obviously with O'Neill's or Masita or Azuri, but is it a case we ring up Aer Lingus and ask them, can we have one plane ticket and one jersey, please?
Yeah, no, it's we're actually we do all of our stuff through Masita now. I think there's a big like US GAA sponsorship partnership, I should say, between Masita and US GAA, but it's actually good kit. I like the product that they have. But you know what? You can't beat my 1995 O'Neill's Arnott's Dublin jersey, like the classic with the collars. Yeah. So,
you a Jason Sherlock man by trade, or would you be more
JO
back in defense?
No, I mean, if I was faster for it, I'd love to play halfback, but I'll play corner forward just because, like, I don't have the fitness for anything else. couple of big runs, maybe go for a high ball, try not to jam my fingers.
Nice. Okay. So people go on to Masita, then who's listening, they can get your jersey there. Yeah,
they can check out the Seattle kit there. I think we still have the Aer Lingus one. Nice. There probably is the Aer Lingus one on O'Neill's because I think that was an O'Neill's one a few years back.
Okay. It's a cool looking jersey. Yeah, for anyone who's listening, make sure and check it out. It's got a pretty cool vibe to it. I don't know what it is. There's something very kind of Irish, and it reminds me of Oman in some ways with the colors for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. It just has that look about it. But yeah, it's a cool jersey. So anyone listening definitely has to check it out. And then Éamonn, the last thing I ask, give everyone a chance, is there anybody in Booterstown, Rathfarnham, Queens, Seattle, China that you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna definitely share this pod with my dad. I'm gonna send it over to Jason Croskery as well. It's actually the karaoke song, the one I missed. You Saw the Whole of the Moon. So
Brilliant.
That's two
Water
things
Boys.
Jason Croskery, the Water Boys. There's two things Croskery brought over to us: Paddy O'Shea, that speech, and the Whole of the Moon. So he left his fingerprints all over this club.
That's amazing.
So what's up, Jason? Yeah,
I love it.
Big what up to Jason. So
anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
No, that's it.
All
Mommy
good,
Rose, Granny back in Dublin.
I played to her, good woman herself. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned Hold the Moonlight, because the only time I've ever heard that song sung live was by an American band from the West Coast. It was the Killers playing in the RDS here, did it as their cover version that night. And it was absolutely, it was
nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing, yeah.
I tell you, that is a karaoke song. You get a full team, pick up the lyrics to that one. That's a session song.
Yeah, I love the bit in the middle.
There's actually
pick up the lyrics. That's the hard part.
Yeah, no. I would tell everybody listening as well. There's a YouTube video of a couple of lads like just out in the pub. I think it's in England somewhere, and like one guy just starts playing the piano, and the other guy starts singing it, and you can tell they're into the pints.
Yeah,
and it is such a classic, like just a picture of a perfect session.
Yeah.
So I definitely encourage everyone to check out that Whole of the Moon pub karaoke video on YouTube. It's very good.
Okay, definitely have to check that one out. Yeah, that's class.
Yeah.
Éamonn, it's been savage crack having you on, and I'll keep in touch when we're off as well. And I don't know exactly where you're going to be on the list, as I said, because there's it was meant to be 7 clubs.
No worries, it sounds like it's flying along. Well done, Jason.
Yeah,
it's great. I mean,
it's
good,
weird.
good slice. I love it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's at 52, and I think even since I've been chatting to you today, there's 53. There's another American camogie club who I didn't really know existed, who have kind of accidentally got in touch with. So yeah, I think it's a 53. So I don't know exactly where Seattle is on the list, but I actually that's a lie. I kind of do know where Seattle is on the list, because as I was sort of listing together, I went, oh, Thanksgiving is on a Thursday, and I said, surely I could get an American club, and I'm pretty sure it's you guys. So I think you might
awesome.
be. I think it might be the Thanksgiving one, because there's a Canadian Thanksgiving as well, I think, in like October. So there's a Canadian club on, I think, in that, and then I think you guys are Thanksgiving, yeah. So you definitely have a special place in it somewhere. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, Jason, seriously, it's love what you're doing. I mean, the fact that you're able to kind of bring on all these clubs as well, it's just it's credit to the community, right? One thing I didn't really talk, like the way how our recruiting happens, or just how I found this club, is similar to just a lot of the Irish emigration story, right? It's like people landing somewhere. I mean, my parents, when they landed in Dublin or in New York, knew nobody, right? They had no connections, anybody there, just typical immigrant story. And like they just found the football. It was actually soccer, football. So they just latched on to this club, the Shamrocks, and that's like, I was raised on the side of a pitch, on Sundays.
Yeah.
And they just like, that became family. Like you mentioned Thanksgiving. For us, Thanksgiving was like 20 Irish people that just we absorbed into our family in New York and in Queens. And like same thing out here is guys will land here, and one of the first things they'll check is like, is there a football club? Is there a hurling club? And just kind of instant family. Like, yeah, that's what it is, the sport. So
I've talked
keep
to a
sharing those.
I've talked to a couple of people who moved before they wouldn't move until they found out that there was a GA club in the place they were moving to. So yeah, and one guy, his wife got a job in a different city, and he was like, "We'll think about it." And then he went, I googled to see if there was a club, and when I found there was a club, I just went straight in and said, "Yeah, we'll move." Like that's how vital the club is, I suppose, to a community. Yeah, the Queen story, yes, that is your traditional immigrant story, isn't it? Like just rocking up with barely 2 pennies to rub together, as they say, and then go from there. So yeah, cracking story. I love it. Yeah. Éamonn, no, I'll definitely keep in touch. I'll be in touch after anyway. And
yeah, for sure. If I ever find myself in Westmead, I'd definitely give you a shout as well. So
100%. I've definitely got aspirations to go back to West Coast America for sure. Like there's about half the states I've been and half I haven't been, but I still want to go back to some of the ones I have been, because my favorite part was going from Denver west. Basically, that was my favorite part.
Like road trip, you
Yeah,
you can't beat a good road trip out
Yeah,
here. You know,
South Dakota,
you
North
don't
Dakota,
have that in
and-
Europe. Like it's not. I mean, yeah, sure, in mainland Europe, like but
Yeah.
the way you can just go. I think the longest I've done is like Chicago to Seattle. It's like 3 days, and just you see crazy shit in the middle. But that's what we're trying to do, even from Montana, is just get a bunch of guys to just do the road trip. And like, yeah, you can't beat a good road trip in America.
Okay, so the plan is road trip, pick up a lot of teams on the way, big tournament in Montana or somewhere. I want to go back to Deadwood. Could we organize a tournament in Deadwood?
Where is Deadwood?
Oh, I can't remember what state it's in.
But is that like? I'm thinking of that TV show on HBO.
TV
is that
show,
kind of like that? Like
That's it. That's the town. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Wild West. I just want like the two guys who
yeah.
practice, the back-to-back shootout thing. I just want them to referee the games.
Dueling
basically.
banjos.
Yes. Yeah. With two guns in the middle, just refereeing the games. Yeah.
Well, August 13th to 15th, Butte, Montana, I think might be like that.
Okay.
Go get a scratch off lotto ticket, pray that COVID ends, and we'll see you in Butte, Montana.
Okay.
It's actually, I haven't really looked into all the history, but it used to be, so supposedly a huge Irish contingent went to Butte, Montana, and it was like a big mining town. And I guess it's part of American history. Like there's a lot of places that people went to try and strike it rich.
Yep.
Like everyone knows about San Francisco.
Yeah.
Fuck all knows about Butte, Montana, because they didn't find any gold. Or maybe they did, but like
I definitely don't know a lot about Butte, Montana. No, definitely not. Alaska for the gold rush. I was up in Alaska, right? That was that was a bit strange. Yeah, going up to Alaska. There's strange folk in Alaska. If they're listening, sorry, Alaska, but you're some strange folk up there, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, very strange. I thought we were off air at this point. So
it doesn't matter. I can edit everything out. It makes no odds. It doesn't matter.
Before I was about to start talking shit about Alaskans as well.
Yeah, they are.
I was up there once.
People.
I was up there once, and I swear to God, we were at a bar, and like I look over, and this guy all of a sudden he started like hitting on one of the girls we were with, and I was like, he started telling some strange stories, and then I just realized I'm like, I think there's two types of people in Alaska: ex-convicts and criminals.
Yes,
people hiding from the
yeah. No roads in and no roads out, basically. Isn't that what they say? Yeah, that's
strange place.
I'll definitely go back though again for sure. But yeah, I'll see you in Butte, Montana, but it'll probably be 2022, I would say, at this rate. So
yeah, no, Jason, all right, good stuff, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, thanks a million.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. Take it easy, Éamonn.
Yeah, take care. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, good luck. Take it easy. Bye bye.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
We're guys that have played senior between Mike Sheridan, Liam Dean, Kevin Tracy, and then we got what I think is the best player in America, just got into the Yonkers Police Academy, Shane Hogan. So he's just he's a phenomenal asset for us, and just a ton of other guys that are out there just never played football before, coming out and really stepping it up. Unbelievable.
Slice 41, it's something pretty cool. It's NYPD GAA man Mike live from the patrol car on the streets of New York. We chat all about the club's beginnings in the 70s, the rivalry with the fire department, pubs in the area, playing as the warm-up to the Connacht Championship, entering the leagues for the first time, Twitter banter with Manhattan Gaels, America's greatest player Shane Hogan, the New York GAA stories in All-Ireland battles and Marty commentating, the lost NYPD members from 9/11, broken bones in a charity game, the GAA president's link to New York, playing the Gardaí, the PSNI and the London Met, and just how realistic is Brooklyn Nine-Nine in terms of NYPD life. You can probably guess that last one. All this and much more next Monday morning from 9 AM as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the Arrivals Hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánigí.